All right, so another day of training. How did things go today?
Day 3, good. This morning was really just to let them open up their legs, a little bit of an endurance run. The last couple of days were hard and taxing, and I think put a little bit of lactic acid in the legs. So this morning we just got them out for a little bit of a run to loosen up. And then they'll spend today recovering, and then they have 4 more sessions over the next couple of days.
So this year you have implemented the GoPro camera. How is that being part of your training?
It's good. We have a high pod that we put the camera up high on, and we can focus on the training session, the grids, whatever the exercises that we're working on, whether it's tactics or whatever. We get an image, we can see where guys are, and we can always review it later, sit down, talk to guys, show them certain things. It's easier once you show it to them and they understand it than it is sometimes when you're actually going through the moment. So we use it more for learning purposes.
What's the theme of the training this week that will differ maybe from Florida next week?
This week we're not going to goal. We're not doing anything that's really high intensity. We are doing a lot of stuff that's building our endurance, building our fitness level, strength, agility, just trying to build a foundation for injury prevention. And we're trying to set sort of our vision for the game tactically, so guys understand this is how we want to play, this is my role within that system, and we're starting to build towards that. We're also trying to create a little bit of a behavior in transition, that we react quickly, that we don't have down seconds in transition, whether it's an emotional break or a physical break. We quickly transition to get to whatever our next responsibility is with that, and we're just starting to create the behavior there.
Is that a challenge then as a coach, having these players that come from so many different backgrounds and now you're trying to implement your own system?
I don't think so. I mean, I think by and large the guys understand what they're trying to do. The younger guys are still kind of catching up to the veterans that have been around and been in the game at a high level for a while and understand the speed of play and the speed at which things happen. And some of our younger guys, draft picks, new guys, are still catching up with that a little bit, but they'll be fine. It's just day 2 yesterday, and day 3 they didn't touch the ball much, so we didn't have to see any of that today. So, but everybody will get there quickly. It'll be very clear, and I think it'll be something that they can clearly understand.
Is there anyone that you're really looking forward to in this camp to really step to the forefront and show you something?
No, I mean, I think what's important, we talked with the group yesterday, is that everybody sort of embraces this process of every day of getting better and understanding their role within what we're trying to do, and nobody has to do any more than what they're capable of doing within, again, the structure of the team. And so as long as everybody does that and they play at a consistent level that is becoming of who they are, then we should be in good shape, because we're feeling very good about the development of our roster.
Luke Moore is in camp today. Does he have a new deal? Is that part of the reason for him being here?
Yeah, we reorganized Luke's deal for the coming season, and he was already on his way. We already knew that he was going to be here at this time, so everything is squared away, and Luke was out getting his run in today, and again we'll build him into the training session and the training environment as necessary.
So his absence was understood. He's not getting fined, or he wasn't missing?
No, it was understood. It was all set up, yeah.
He obviously has carved out a space for himself in this team. You had a lot of forwards last year, and quite a few times he was the one you called on. You see him being able to repeat that role despite some of the big name additions this year?
Yeah, I think, for last year for us, Luke, especially for me at the end of the year, Luke played a role that wasn't, he did a good solid job of it, but it's not necessarily who he is as a player. We were asking him a lot to play in the pockets, and really his strength is to man up and back into forwards or into center backs and hold up the ball and bring people into the play that way. Now we have a pretty good player in Giovinco who will probably play in the gaps, and it's a little bit more his game, and Luke provides us another option as a striker higher up the field, in the box, around the box, and a guy who can play big in the big areas of the field.
Obviously, a lot of coaches like yourself this year are going to have to make plans with Gold Cup internationals and things like that. Is this going to be a more difficult season for you to kind of marshal your troops because of that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, as we construct the roster, we take into consideration who we might lose and have contingency plans for all of that. We feel like we're getting there. Obviously, having options like Josie and Luke, obviously Giovinco, who will be in, those are all options of guys who, if Josie has to be gone, then Luke is ideally healthy and ready to be there as they work through the time during all the other parts of the season. But yeah, we definitely want to take all of that in consideration for all of our positions where we might lose Canadian players, American players, or anybody else really.
trade was made yesterday with Dominic Oduro going to Montreal. What do you lose in a player like Dominic, and what does that mean for the way that you look at shaping your team?
Yeah. First of all, I've known Dom since his rookie year in the league, and I like Dom a lot. So it's definitely not a personal thing. It's between us trying to gain salary cap space. We receive some allocation in it. There's a little bit of vision of the game. I think Dom, and most of his career, has been more of a striker who runs off of and behind back lines. And we adapted him a little bit last year into being a winger, but it's maybe not his most natural position. We have a few strikers now in the lineup, and so in the depth chart, and so maybe he's a guy who misses out sort of in our vision of the game and how we want to play in that winger position, where we think we could acquire some allocation and maybe look to address some positions in the team to continue to build depth.
So is the wing position still an area that you're looking to maybe acquire some assets and bring into the team?
It's possible. We think we do have some depth there based on how we want to play this year, and so that's part of it. We could bring in some reinforcements there. We're looking. It's just going to be. It's a timing thing. You can't necessarily address everything at one time. We've addressed a lot of things this offseason, and we want to be careful of completely bringing in an entire new group of faces, but we also want to utilize some of the guys that we have and open up some space for guys to step in and now make a name for themselves as well.
So as a head coach, last season you saw the team adding depth players, some key players during the season. Is there a preferable time that you'd like kind of your core group put together and established so you can adequately prepare for the new season?
Yeah, as soon as possible is the short answer to that. But ideally, by the first game, we would like to have the core group of our players, and therefore, when we hit the summer, we're really just addressing maybe one need or two needs, and that usually, hopefully, is driven based on maybe something that's happened, or we've recognized that we need to improve in an area, or maybe. Hopefully not, but we have an injury and we realize we need a little depth. But we don't want to hit the summer break going, we need to get all of these positions, 3-4 positions filled. We want to have our core group of players here. We want to have a clear understanding of how we want to play and really use the summer window only for as needed basis, and because we want to start and end the season as much as possible with the same group.
You've obviously training camp has just started, but would it be fair to say that the depth chart starts with Caldwell and Perkis as your preferred pairing?
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Nice. We have veteran pairing back there. Obviously, we'll get them out on the field together and get them in sync with each other. For us, a big thing is having experience, especially up the spine, and having some players who understand the professional game, who also can give us some stability up the middle of the field. So there's no question that those two guys are the guys who stand out right now.
Were you pleasantly surprised by Hagelin's performance last year for a rookie?
I was. I think he was. I think he's an excellent player who's coming along and still learning. He has a lot of attributes to be a high-level player. I think we relied on him probably a little more than we should have, and in fairness to him, he stepped up and he did a good job. But there's still a lot to learn in that center back position when you're dealing with some of the strikers that this league is acquiring now in this offseason and even last year. That there's a lot of high-level decisions that have to be made in a very timely manner in connection and in coordination with 3 other guys. And so for Nick this year is to not feel like he has to prove anything. It's just to step in and continue to learn and continue to progress as a player. It's not going to be a defining year for him or anything like this. It's another year for him to work through the process of being a great player, which is where he's going to end up at some time.
And I wonder, as a player yourself, perhaps as a younger player, did you ever have to give up your number to a more senior player, or did you get to keep your number?
No, I had to wait for my number to open up. So I started with 18, and eventually, by the time, I don't know who left, but eventually I made it to 3, which is what I wore for most of my career. But there were times where, for sure, I didn't get the number I preferred. That's part of the veteran sort of respect that you have to go through. I think it's in every sport, so he'll be fine. That won't determine whether he's going to have a great year or not. So he'll be good. He knows how to take those things well.
And just finally for me, this is really your first year camp in charge of TFC. Will there be things like rookie shows or things like that? I mean, what are your thoughts about things like that? I think in the past, players have had to sing songs or tell stories. What are your thoughts about those, and will there be a similar kind of thing this year?
Initiations is sort of there could be. Last year, even when I came in, we do things that are more sort of team oriented. Everybody's involved. It's team building. It's everybody should feel comfortable within the group, and the idea is that everybody understands who everybody is and they know each other. They don't all have to be best friends, but they have to have a respect for each other. And so we might do some fun things. I don't know quite yet what it is. Sometimes we let the team sort of decide, and they work it out amongst themselves. So we're not too involved. But we as a group, and coaches included, we do some things that are the entire group together, and everybody's involved, not just the rookies per se.